has a lot of sound knowledge about the softwares like AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Naviswork, Revit. He has a master's in that. Okay. And also he has a robust communication skills. He has been taking training sessions for different for these kind of softwares like Naviswork, AutoCAD, and Civil 3D. He is completely handy with the kind of workflows of the BIM industry. So without wasting any more time, I would like to welcome Prasad here and take over the session. Hi, Prasad.
Thanks. Thanks, Karishma. Thanks for the introduction.
No problem.
Do you mind if I share the screen instead? Because
Sure.
yeah, maybe I'll just take over the screen share. Yeah. All right. So, right. Good evening, guys. Welcome to this masterclass. I like the fact that it's called a masterclass. So, hope you all had a fun day today, or at least a good day today. Thank you for joining in. And so I'll quickly run through what I'm going to present today or what I'm going to speak about. And then we can take it up from there. So an introduction about myself. I'll be talking about a few successful projects which I've delivered. A few career paths for civil engineers specifically. Why should you choose BIM as a career, right? Which is a very important topic to talk about. The BIM scenario currently in India and overseas. Case studies in India and abroad. I've just added a few, and something which is very interesting is the average pay scale, also which I'll be talking about, and how does this BIM career trajectory flow for a civil engineer, and eventually we'll be ending with something related to 1:x on why this will give you a boost in your career. Right then, so I think my name is Prasad Devsarkar, and I belong to a city called Nagpur in India. So if you're aware, it's located in Maharashtra. It's in the central portion of India. And I started my career after doing my master's in construction management from NICMAR. After I did that, I joined Texture because Texture was the firm which was there in my own hometown. My starting pay was not that great because I think demonetization had just hit the market. So we didn't have much cash flow going on that time. After working in Texture for a couple of years, I decided to switch. I got a call from BIM Consulting Singapore. They wanted somebody who could actually run their BIM business as a business consultant, as well as take over a few projects which were there in the pipeline for them for Civil 3D especially. So at Texture, I used Civil 3D extensively, which is a very niche software when it comes to BIM. And with BIMage, I was actually doing pre-sales work as well as handling a few projects. After BIMage, I switched over to Jacobs after around 3 years with BIMage in Singapore. I joined Jacobs as a BIM consultant, or you call it as BIM coordinator in the worldwide sense. Here, my role was a project-based role where I was handling a wastewater treatment plant, which I'll be talking about later. And after Jacobs, I've recently actually switched my role to DJBH Global, which is a BIM consultancy again. But here, my role is pretty different. So I've actually, navigated through BIM, and I'm heading into the project management direction now. So I've actually become a business development manager out here because I know the BIM business in Singapore in and out, and the management trusts me with this decision. Yeah. Right. So I'll talk about a few successful projects which I've delivered until now, which I feel very proud to have been associated with. The first one is Dubai Expo 2020. So the special part is that this is one of the biggest exhibitions in the world, right? So every leaf that you see inside this project determines some particular theme. One is an opportunity, one is a sustainability, one is a mobility theme. And all the countries in the world have their exhibition stalls or booths set up in this place. So we did a lot of underground services, underground utility modeling. There was a lot of coordination works involved in this project, and I think I was handling a team of around 10 or 11 people. So next interesting project which I did was the BIA HQ in Sharjah. So if you guys are aware about the Indian Green Building Council in India, similarly there's a similar council there in the UAE called BIA. And the special part about this was that this was made by Zaha Hadid Architects. which are the most renowned architects in the world, right? And the special part was the roof. It was a curved roof, and then it had like around 1,000 or 1,800 light boxes, which reflect ambient light throughout the different hours of the day. So that had to be placed at a particular angle and had to be manually cut. So I've spent like grueling hours, just modeling all these small intricate elements in the project. Next one is the Jewel at Changi Airport. This one is another marvel of a project. It has a vortex drop waterfall and a garden inside the mall. So you can imagine the number of obstacles that would have come to actually make this a marvel. So this is just located outside the airport. When you come visit Singapore or when you are transiting, people generally don't have much time to go outside and roam in the city. So they generally just it's like a walk around the airport where you can just go and enjoy this scenic mall. One of the big projects which I have delivered is the Tuas water reclamation project. It is still undergoing construction. It is in the final stages. So the complex part was that this was on a different platform. We all are aware that BIM is all about, Revit, about Autodesk products, but this was made mainly on the Bentley platform, and there were over 17 contractors involved here. So, coordinating with different contractors, getting their BIM models, sending it to the other contractor for coordination. All of these processes were the ones which I was involved in. In Singapore, I think the special part is that all water is potable. If you just even drink your tap water, you'll still be fine. It is still potable. So this is made possible because of projects like these, where they actually recycle and reuse the wastewater and they pump back the potable water back to the city. So it's a move towards sustainability again. Another interesting project which I have been working on even now is the North-South corridor. So Singapore is a small country; it's an island nation. So to travel from one part of the country to the other, it practically takes 1.5 hours. But even then, Singapore wants to cut short the time. So by building these twin tunnels underground, the timing gets reduced practically by 50%. So now people can reach faster within like 40 minutes from north to the southernmost point of Singapore. So right then, so I think Karish, probably we'll have a poll first with all the civil engineers,
exactly,
and then we'll jump to this. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are presenting a quick poll for you guys. So please go through it. It is about, how much do you know about BIM, and just a quick answer that, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you know? What is the basic understanding? So just a simple poll.
ज्वाइन करो. Yes, good evening, ma'am.
So we have the poll for another 5-10 more seconds, please, everyone. Okay, let's.
I see that most of the majority of the people have heard about BIM, but they don't exactly know what that is. Right. I'll try to cover that up as well. All right. So I think we'll run through the slides and I'll still cover up all your questions in the end. A few career paths for civil engineers. So if I were to, judge, or if I were given the chance to choose a career or to define what are the available options for me, I'll broadly classify them into three, basically, right? So I'll probably classify them into these three, which is either you will go for a higher education, right? Because many of the parents, they feel same as mine. I got a job after my graduation, but my parents actually didn't want me to go there. They wanted me to pursue higher studies because, again, they knew me from the very start that I'm a very lazy kind of a person. And if I start working and if I start earning money, then probably I wouldn't, want to try my hand on higher education again. So you can actually do masters in specific interest fields, or you can take up design, right? It completely depends on what you like in your graduation. You can also take up construction management or project management, like how I did. The reason why I did it were basically two reasons. One, that most of my friends were doing it, and secondly, that I had actually just a brief idea of how construction projects are run, because my brother owns an architecture firm and he used to often take me to these sites of his. So that is the reason I was interested in taking up construction management. The third option for people is doing an MBA, right? For when people get actually bored of engineering or want to pursue something which is really towards business administration, or something related to creating your own business or something. They want to study it further, they'll choose an MBA. But in the end, all of them are good options. I'm not going to just uh, keep on pushing you to take up BIM as a career. These are all the options which I see are available to a civil engineer. You can also go in for certifications, one of them being 1:X, where you can have a boost in your career, right? Second most thought about is the business, but this one is probably very limited to a lot of people. This one is probably limited to the people who are already into business, or their family owns a business. Their family has a construction firm or an architecture firm, or is probably a brother or a sister who's already having a firm of their own. So you just basically go and join them to start your career. Next one is a startup. You can actually start your own construction business as well, but personally, I wouldn't recommend before you actually go into the industry and try out stuff and you actually get some knowledge about it. There are still a few friends of mine who ventured into this, who started their own construction companies. You can actually become contractors by law. Once you're a civil engineer, you can actually go and register yourself with the legal authorities in your city, and you can get a contractor license once you have a civil engineering degree with you. So that is another option available for you. But most of the people are on the right side, which is they want to do a job because they have commitments to take care. They have probably money to pay back for their loan. They have commitments to their parents, or most of them. So you can actually become design engineers. You can go into site execution if you actually like field work a lot. There are a few fields for procurement and billing. So if you're good with Excel and you're good with numbers, you are good with quantities, and you like the fact that I think there was a subject in civil engineering also, like quantity estimation and takeoffs. So if you are interested in that particular aspect, you can choose this as your career as well. You can do planning. You can become a planner. There are different whole sort of softwares used in planning as well, like Primavera, Microsoft Project, all those stuff which you can actually study online and actually apply for jobs as well. You can of course venture into safety, but this is something where you will be judged on your experience, on what you have done before. So safety or those roles will be probably later in your career, where you can shift in those lines. And of course, BIM engineer or a BIM modeler position is always there for you to take up. Then why should you take it up? We'll probably discuss further. So now, like I said, why should BIM be an option, or what is BIM in the first place, right? So BIM stands for Building Information Modeling, right? And where building is not a noun, it is a verb. So you're basically modeling the information. Okay. So what this means is that in the earlier times, when I have to explain it to a layman who doesn't know anything about BIM, right? How do I do that? So I'll tell him that how do buildings get constructed, right? So earlier you used to have these hand drafted drawings. People used to have like big boards, and they used to make use of pencil, make use of sheets, and they used to draft it out, everything. Like they used to draft out a plan, they used to draft out an elevation, and then it becomes an engineer's responsibility to go and construct, right? Then it was revolutionized by AutoCAD. So if all of you must have heard about AutoCAD. So AutoCAD came in the late 90s. It became a very famous software where your manual effort was taken away, and then you could actually start drafting, and probably create much more easy visuals for people at site to see. After AutoCAD came 3D modeling, which was not that widely accepted because it was difficult. It still is, but nowadays people are more aware of how to use these methodology. So the transition from 2D to 3D has been tough, but now there are some more dimensions which have been added to BIM, Like there is 4D, which involves the time, 5D, which involves the cost, 6D involves the facility management, 7D involves, green buildings and, sustainability. So all of these dimensions keep on adding as we progress through time. But I think BIM as an overall is the ability to help a project come back on time and back on cost with the help of models or modeling elements or a visual representation of how the site is going to look like probably in the future. Right. So why would you want to choose BIM as a career? These are some points which came to my mind on why you should choose BIM as a good, or why BIM is a good career. So if you look at an example of a phone, right, you had those telephones which used to select number by number and dial. Then came the phones which the resident lines which had the digits directly. Then came the big phones, the Nokia 3310s, right? Then came the satellite phones or the Blackberries or the Moto Flips, and then came the smartphones. So it has already always been evolving. So the first ones to do that probably were Nokia. That's why Nokia is so famous in the phone industry. Of course, now there are players like Apple and Samsung who have taken over, but Nokia is always remembered as the phone company, right? So when you talk about construction in general, right? So the future of construction, as I see it, is going to be completely digital, right? As we move towards the 20s, the end of this decade, right? So I think there will be lesser jobs for people on site, and it's going to be more digitalized. It's going to be more technologically enabled. So examples like Revit or Navisworks, all of these softwares, right, which were basically just names before, are now actually being used in the industry. Use of AI and robotics has taken over. So if you don't mind, you can just go and Google Dusty Robotics on Google, and you can see what it does. So basically, your serving time is majorly into, you go put a total station and you basically map out the entire thing. Then you go and cast. Then you put your formwork on site. That is the procedure of construction, right? But with Dusty Robotics, whatever sheet you make on AutoCAD can directly be printed on your slab within minutes. So you're basically relying on robots as well nowadays, which is reducing the serving time by 40-50%. There's 3D printing also. There are a few homes in Europe which are currently being 3D printed for proper housing, right? So all of this is basically going to be the only thing in construction after a few years. So that is why, to actually be the first ones in this market, I would actually want to pursue a career in them. It is much more interesting than a 9 to 5 job, definitely, because when we talk about softwares and when we talk about computers, it's much more easier, much more simpler, much more interesting as well when you actually see the site on a computer screen. It is a much more challenging job because not any of your 2 days will be same. You will not be doing the same thing over and over again, like how site people generally do. You will have to probably face a new challenge every day. Like sometimes the file is not responding, sometimes probably you are modeling something else, sometimes there are coordination issues. So all of these things keep on changing day to day. It is much more comfortable than a side job, which is a true fact. People who are on site know, like, I understand that the job is very tough, but being a BIM engineer or a BIM consultant, you can actually stay at the site office, stay in an AC room, and still do the work, like still get the job done. You have much more respect in the industry. I've faced it myself when project directors or construction managers, they come and speak to me directly, which probably if I were a site engineer, they wouldn't want to speak to me directly. They would want to speak to my manager first, right? So you deal directly with the likes of construction manager and project manager. So there was this project which we were doing with L&T, where I was actually presenting to the boss of L&T, Mr. Naik, that time. And at that time, I had was just around 1 or 2 years of experience using them. But if I assume that I was at a site as a site engineer, I would actually practically never get a chance to even speak to him or be in the same room as him. So you can imagine that these are all the things which are the positives on the BIM side. Better pay when compared to the peers. This is also a debatable topic, but still, I feel that looking at the current trend, BIM engineers are getting paid a lot because the skill is in demand and there are not a lot of people available in the market who can do that. Then the BIM scenario in India and around the world, I'll be speaking briefly about that. So according to a survey, economic survey, I'll be talking about India first. So there'll be a high investment of around $4.5 trillion, right, in developing infrastructure. The main reason being that we are going to grow economically and we are growing as a population anyway. We have already crossed China. So we've become the most populated country in the world. All these people need infrastructure, all of them need roads to travel on, all of them need social housing, all of them need educational spaces. So construction in general is not going to be an issue, or construction as a career won't be an issue for anybody who is a civil engineer, okay, or getting a job in construction, right? BIM methodologies can address the challenges faced by the Indian construction industry, which is primarily delays in time and unforeseen costs due to errors. Okay, so these are the two most common issues faced by most of the construction sites. There are always delays. There is always a lot of cost involved, which is not being accounted for. So by using probably BIM technologies or softwares, you can actually reduce the time and improve the cost efficiency as well. Of course, with so many benefits of BIM, there are obstacles as well, like the high cost involved. By high cost, I don't mean that people are costly, but I mean that sometimes the software is also costly. The hardware setup, the software setups, these are all some bottlenecks which currently a lot of companies are looking into. And they are trying to bring down the model size. They are trying to upgrade their computer machines, right? And then again, the second most common bottleneck in the BIM industry is the availability of BIM qualified professionals, right? So if you don't have the people who can use the software, I don't think there is any way to go ahead with using BIM in the project. So this is where actually most of the projects try to take a step back and they try to rely back on the 2D mechanism, which is very, very slow and very time and cost consuming. Right. So Indian companies in the AEC sector have already used BIM in the projects, and government has taken some initiatives to actually bring in these technologies in the mega infrastructure projects. A few examples are the Nagpur Metro Rail, which I was a part of when I was doing my internship in civil engineering. So there, all the station designs are unique in Nagpur, and the viaduct and the stations, all of them are actually modeled using Revit and a lot of other AEC tools. So exponential growth of construction industry in India requires the government to invest in and implement. So like I told you, there's going to be a lot of money being poured in by the government to develop infrastructure. And eventually there won't be any choice for them but to implement BIM to reduce the cost and time for these projects. So if I talk about the scenario worldwide, BIM market was valued at 4.5 billion pounds in 2019 by a survey, and it is projected to reach 13.7 billion by 2027. I know these numbers sound very vague, but if you look at the percentage rate of increase, right, it's almost around 15.2% every year that the BIM projects and the need for BIM people increases, right? So it is a no-brainer for you to actually get a career into BIM, right? Because every year the need is just going to be even more. So even if you are not looking at it as a career as of now, probably after a couple of years, you would still want to switch because the availability of jobs in the later future is probably going to be more towards BIM than a normal side job, right? And so I think with COVID in between, it actually just boosted or placed greater emphasis on health and safety of built environments and contributing to the growth of BIM. I think we can take up another question, Karishma.
Yeah, sure. So we have another poll right now. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही मैडम।
सॉरी, मैं कुछ बोल नहीं रही थी अभी। मैं वेट कर रही हूँ आप लोगों का पोल फिनिश करने का।
बोलिए, हम ना भी सुन रहे।
जी, आई थिंक can everybody see the poll at least? Okay. All right. Aditya, I'm sorry you were not able to see the poll, but at least you can see the results here.
Right. I think we got quite a lot of answers, and I think probably majority of you also think that it's going to improve collaboration and coordination among projects. That's a very nice point there. And yeah, we'll just continue with the presentation. So I'll just cover up a few case studies, right? So the Bangalore International Airport, which is just, I think, just started, just launched the Terminal 2, if I'm not wrong. So, Bangalore is a very high traffic airport. It caters to around 600 aircraft movements daily. And it saw a record 33 million passengers at the end of 2019, making it the fastest growing airports in the world, right? Because it has a very unique location, Bangalore Airport, and you can actually all the Southeast Asian countries, they can connect to India as well. So Bangalore International Airport, the client themselves, they mandated BIM for the entire life cycle of the Terminal 2, right? This was looked as a very prestigious project for the BIM community in India as well. There were a lot of contractors involved, and the main software which was used was the BIM 360 because they used it for collaboration as well as documentation for the entire project. So once you research about all of these softwares, you will get a better idea of what they do, what are they, what does the software help in, and all those stuff. But I think this is like the bio shows, like this has enabled many teams to integrate their sustainability and project goals into a common purpose of excellence. So this is one case study which I found out. Another one, like I mentioned before, was the Nagpur Metro Rail, which also was made completely mandated to have BIM. Many countries around the world have different mandates when it comes to implementing BIM. I can give you an example of Singapore where I work. So all the projects which are more than 5,000 meters square in Singapore require BIM to be mandated throughout the life cycle, right from design to construction to finishing of as-built to handover stage to facility management. All of these stages should be on BIM. When I say BIM, it should be basically not only modeled but also documented perfectly. Another case study I would want to show you is the Shanghai Towers BIM success story. So this is I think the 6th or 7th largest building in the world. It's a skyscraper. It's stand at 632 meters height. And from design to construction, the stakeholders and the workers relied on BIM to accurately represent the complex building inner structures. There are like walls within walls, and there are like portions kept at different angles all the way up until the top. So this is one example of computational BIM, where a lot of programming also went into the picture. So when I say programming, don't get bothered, because as civil engineers, we are not used to writing computer programs, right? But when programmers, or for that matter, computational BIM is a topic where Python or computing languages can be also used together with softwares for the construction industry. Eventually, all are just different softwares, and how we actually make them interact together is the beauty of all of it all, right? So Revit is a software in which we do most of the modeling, which is the most commonly used software in India as well as overseas. There are, of course, new softwares coming up into the market. Bentley is another prominent one which is used in the market. So when I talk about Revit, there are a few programs like the Python or Dynamo. All these are programming languages which can be used together with this software to create a structure like that, which you see on the screen right now. So this is also was a very complex structure. It involved around 30 consulting companies and more than a dozen subcontractors, making the coordination very, very necessary. So when you have multiple contractors working on the same project, there are chances that the project might get delayed, or might run into multiple differential costs. The reason is that every contractor has a vision of their own and has a timeline of their own. So to make them coordinate together is probably the part of a BIM coordinator, or probably a BIM person on site. So we'll talk about the salaries of BIM engineers. So these are just estimates. These are not like the stamp mark salary which is being given. It was a survey which we had conducted over multiple people, and probably the closest range was around this way, this which you see on the screen. So these are like monthly estimated salaries, and should not be taken as the final say. Yeah. So when you actually start out a career as a BIM engineer or a BIM modeler, right? If you are good with two things, number one is understanding the subject matter, which is understanding the project, and secondly, if you are good with your soft skills, which is your communication and your man management skills, you are probably going to land a job somewhere around 30,000. Okay, I'm saying this number because I didn't just pluck it out of the air. It is asked through the community on how much they earn, how much they want to earn, how much their peers are getting, right? So this is a number based on that. So basically around 0 to 2 years is the time where you will be starting out as a BIM modeler or a BIM engineer in one of the companies, and you would probably be earning around 25 or 20 to 30,000. I started my career with 20,000 rupees. So and that too after being a postgraduate, right? So eventually, I also believe that where you start is not how you define your career. Where you end should define your career. So even if you start low, if you aim high, you can still go through the roof. So after spending around 2 to 4 years in the industry, you will probably be getting a position of a senior BIM modeler, or some companies do give BIM coordinator positions also at that stage, at 3-4 year stage. But it completely depends from company to company, right? So at this stage, your salary would probably be reaching around 40-45. This is probably a benchmark salary. And most of the companies also, even in IT, if you compare BIM to something like an IT, right? Because we're always looking at packages in newspapers that some company gave 1.2 crore package to an IT professional, but we don't see something similar for civil engineers, right? But if you compare yourself in real life scenario to a person who had done IT from your same college and is actually doing something in their own field, you will probably be finding that BIM actually is giving you a salary which is much more, or at least at par with the same guy, right? After around 5 to 6 years, you would probably be getting a BIM coordinator position in the company. This I'm talking about, like if you stay in the same company. Of course, if you jump, there's a chance that your package may go plus minus 10-20%, rather not minus, plus only. So if you jump, you will probably be jumping for around 10-15% extra out there. But I also don't recommend you to jump jobs more often, because I believe that you should at least do your first project from start to end, or at least one project in a company from start to end. That basically becomes your talking point or your USP for your next company, right? So when you are at this juncture in your career, around 3 to 4 years, or maybe 4 to 6 years, that is the time you will probably become a BIM coordinator or a senior BIM coordinator. Some people generally give a senior BIM coordinator designation as well, where you will be definitely crossing that 6 lakhs per annum, take home salary, basically. So 55-60,000 is the range which I am looking at, which I have actually spoken to a lot of people in my circle who actually gave me the same feedback. After spending around 8 plus years in the industry, you will probably become a BIM manager with probably the median salary range around 75-80,000, right? After that, there can be some more stages to this, but all of this again depends from a company's perspective, how they want to keep their hierarchy. Some companies, they actually don't want to keep any hierarchy above BIM manager. For them, BIM manager is the last position. But then if they're keeping BIM manager as the last position, you would actually be talking with the CEOs or the executives of the company. or the higher management officials, because that is where the position ends. Okay. So 75,000 is not the last that you will earn. Of course, your salary keeps on rising as your years of experience come into the picture. There are a lot of fields you can venture into after probably becoming a BIM coordinator or a BIM manager. You can become a business consultant, or you can dive into sales or business development if that excites, which I did. So for me, I like to speak, and I like to make long-term relationships with people. So I still am in contact with the first person that I spoke with at my first company. So, if I like to cultivate relationships, that's why probably I chose this career, because I have thought that sales was something which I could easily do. So that is why now after becoming a BIM manager and being in the industry for 7+ years, I've decided to switch roles now. I wanted to, build a business of my own in the later half of my career. I want to actually, know how a business is run. That's why I'm doing business development, right? So if we look back at the BIM career trajectory, you will start off with an entry level position in BIM as a BIM engineer, modeler, or a drafter. Now, what the drafter does is that he'll be drafting drawings, but only in 2D. It's only for AutoCAD. I don't recommend you being at the same position for many, many years. Probably after a while, after you have become good with drafting, you can actually move on to becoming a BIM modeler. How do you do that? By educating yourself, by actually enrolling for courses like ours, or actually educating yourself online, because there are a lot of videos available online as well, where you can train yourself. And then again, at the end of the day, it becomes a question of how well you can sell yourself, right? Around 3 to 5 years is where you will actually become a BIM coordinator. The main scope of a BIM coordinator is to basically coordinate between different disciplines involved in the project. Like a civil structural person might give him some information. There will be some architect giving him some information about the project. There will be some mechanical and electrical fittings which need to go inside the building. So the BIM coordinator's role is to basically look at the BIM model or the project overall and see to it that there are no clashes which come up in the future. This is just one of the part of a BIM coordinator scope. Hello. Bye. Sorry. Yeah. So after around 5 or 7 years, there are a lot of opportunities for you as a BIM manager available in the market. When you become a BIM manager, the most important skill you should have is man management. How are you going to use the resources available to you in the most efficient manner? You are going to basically also define the project BIM specifics on when the BIM execution plan will be done. What all are the required things you want the contractors to submit? What are the client's expectations? You will basically be actually, making a checklist of all of these things when you become a BIM manager. You will also be making sure that the responsibilities that you have divided among your BIM coordinators or your BIM modelers are equal and they are fair. So that not one person is doing all the job and the other people are just, chilling around. And probably, like I told you, BIM manager is not the end of the road. You can still become a BIM director or a digital officer or, a higher management officer. Like I said before, BIM director is some position which is created by a company. It is not available in all the companies or all the jobs, right? So this is some place where you can reach after many, many years of experience. One of my colleagues, he has around 15+ years in the industry, and now he has become the BIM director. Now he only looks at the operations of the company, of how the company wants to invest their money into technologies, how their company is actually delivering the current projects digitally. All those things are the things which a BIM director or a digital officer would look at. So, I mean, that is the end of my portion of the presentation. I'll leave it up to Karishma to finish it up, and then we'll do the question and answers.
Sure. Thank you, Prasad. So, of course, coming to a very important topic, which is why 1:X. And as it says that, our course and curriculum is prepared by the mentors who are actually working in this industry. So rather than taking a classes, these learnings from somebody who has barely experience in this industry, because it's really new in India, right? BIM is really new in India, so not a lot of people are actually aware of it. So instead of taking learnings from somebody who is not even experienced properly, we are giving you the lectures and the classes from the mentors who have been working in this industry for more than a decade now. So this is definitely one of the USPs. Secondly, people who want to start this journey can already have a head start when it compares to the peers before, because of course, the upskill, the skills that you have gained. So BIM is not something fancy here. With 1:X, you are basically upskilling yourself, getting you, worthy of what you are actually capable of, and then eventually getting the compensation and the growth that we are supposed to get in this industry. So 1:X is definitely helping you to get each of this. Third, we the non-technical aspects gained from this course, like the angel mentors that we give you. It's the interview preparation. We are not just here to place you and upskill you. We are giving you a placement services as well. We are not just giving you a multiple option to get placed. We are actually preparing you for this. We have a 2 weeks of career support option where we prepare you from the start to the beginning, like the industry techniques, questions asked by the in the interviews, and few of them are few of you have technical skills. A software, but how you are going to project and present it in front of a recruiter that this. So some of the technical skills or soft skills we work on. We help you to brush up on your portfolio as well. We help you to build your profile as well, and then eventually we place you in one of the companies. So all these as for technical aspects as well, 1:X is helping you thoroughly with that. So definitely these are 3 of the USPs. I would like to say that we have multiple USPs, but just to sum it up, I would say that these are the USP that you will get from 1:X. Yeah. So
Krishma, you wanna continue on the?
you can take it ahead.
So basically, 1:X is a BIM professional course, right? They are divided into cohorts or batches of people. So once you register for the course, right, you will be put under a particular batch, and then that batch goes on for training for a good 4 to 6 months period. So the duration and all, you can actually inquire with us. You can write to us.
Course. It's a 6 months long course wherein we focus 4 months on the theoretical learning of the softwares. We help you learn all the software that Prasad already told us that he has the expertise in. And we are helping you to learn these softwares. And then eventually towards the end, we are helping you to learn the practical implementation of these softwares by providing you a capstone project, which is from the scratch. You learn how we are actually using these softwares and, be involved in each and every stage of the project. Yeah.
I think.
Yes, there are few of our learners here. I'm sorry, the mentors we have. I'm sure you must have heard of these amazing names. These are people who have been working, again, as I said, for more than 10 years in this industry. Zrinka is from Zaha Hadid Architect. Then we have Aminegam from Binoy. And you can see all these. We are definitely going to share the complete module with you as well about our syllabus document. What all are we covering? What are the softwares here, and other part of the projects as well? I mean, in terms of our course, we will definitely share that with you as well. So I just want to confirm, just give me a moment. Okay, so Prashant, we can go to the next. Prasad, we can go to the next. Thank you. Yes.
Right. All right. So I think we can open the stage for Q&A now.
Yes, we can.
We can do a quick Q&A for around 10-15 minutes.
Yes, and I see there are a lot of people who were asking questions. I'm sorry we couldn't address that in the middle of the session. And Prasad, we can take questions from the chats as well. And if anyone has a question, I would request everyone to please raise your hand and we'll personally address the questions.
Sure. So I think I did see a couple of questions there. Like Nikhil's question is that how can a fresher start their career as a BIM modeler, right? So as a fresher, it is very difficult for you to understand all the software at once, because you see BIM is also, at the end of the day, it is more to do with the software. So if you know the software first and foremost, you should be actually good with your soft skills. I always emphasize the fact why, because most of the companies, they use English as their primary language of communication. If you are at a site job, probably when you're talking to a lot of site people, Hindi or any other regional language is much more suited, because the people you will be interacting with are probably only the people on site. When you are talking about BIM, the most commonly used language is English. So I am assuming that your soft skills are at point. So if not, you can already start working on them. Secondly, the use of software, right? So if you want to join 1:X, that will probably boost up your career much faster than expected. But if you
Let's
don't
take
want
the
to join,
copycat
it's
out
fine
of
as
this.
well. If you don't want to join as well, you can actually look up some videos on YouTube. You can sign up for student memberships with Autodesk products. It is available for a free period of 1 or 2 years while you are in your graduation. So you need to produce some degree certificates as well out there, and then you can get to use the software on your own. There are free tutorials, a lot of tutorials available online as well. But personally, I would recommend this course not only because I am teaching, but because for a period of 4 to 6 months, while you are actually working on a side job, you can just donate probably 2 to 3 hours once a week and once on the weekend, and get yourself upskilled. I mean, for me, I wish I had this option when I was working before. Right. Then I think Ankush has asked me, can you tell me what would be my salary after 5-10 years? Ankush, it's also a very variable question of where you are placed currently and what you are doing. It is also a very, I cannot give you a bang on number that, okay, maybe after 10 years, your salary will be 70,000. No, it completely depends on you. If you actually work in a company for 3 years, your salary would probably grow by, I don't know, around 10 or 20%, considering the India's hike percentage. But it again depends. If you are working at a country like Singapore, here the nominal hike is not more than 5%. So for us, probably once we are switching jobs, we look to switch for a hike around 10% or 15%. So if you're talking about 5-10 years, if you want to switch jobs every year, your salary might go twice. But that's not the best option there. Can we work as part-time as a BIM engineer? Amar, you can, but it again depends on the company which you're currently working as. Generally, in India, moonlighting is not allowed. You should not be doing 2 jobs at a time. You should not be actually working at the same time on 2 different projects, because a lot of contracts have conflict of interest resolution and all those stuff in your letter of employment. But if your company is okay with it, why not? You can definitely take up freelance BIM engineer jobs. There are a lot of freelance jobs available in the market right now. Actually, what COVID did was that it boosted such of remote jobs in the market. So remote jobs earlier were only for the IT industry. For civil engineers, there's no option but to go to site. But with BIM, this came into being that your remote jobs also went up. So from the comfort of your own homes, you can actually, if you have a good PC, if you have good hardware, software, you can actually do the job as well. Sandeep's question is, what about a tech professional? I have studied construction technology. Yeah, Sandeep, I think construction technology also is a pretty big, vast subject. If you have, I don't know if you have studied any software with it, but I would always recommend to actually get a training done for a particular BIM software to begin your career with. Kumar asked me, great session, where did you learn BIM from? Okay, for me, my brother is an architect. So he had an architecture firm and they were using SketchUp and Revit at his place. So when I was doing my construction management at Nikmar, he used to send me a few drawings and a few models to edit. So I used to help him around in my free time, but again, I was not involved on the live project because that would have cost him money. So he used to also take me to a few sites in Nagpur where I used to go and visit, and I used to see the construction in progress. So when I tried to visualize that on my software, I just used to make a 3D model of the same thing, not without measuring any dimensions or anything. And that is how probably I started gaining more interest in the software part. When I joined Texture, I joined it based purely based on my soft skills and my past few experiences with them. So my first job I got, if it's right to say, purely on my soft skills. Anuja Priya is asking me, how can I get BIM modeler jobs in Singapore? I already learned the BIM software courses. So Anuja, if you want me to answer about the Singapore scenario currently, getting a visa in Singapore has become very, very strict nowadays. When I came in 2018, it was pretty simple. So the company just had to sponsor you a visa and they didn't have to show any proof that this guy has X number of years of experience. Now the things have changed because there are a lot of foreign talents, or you can say expats coming into Singapore. So the situation is a bit difficult right now, but it's not impossible. If you have any company who has an office in Singapore, who can basically refer you from India to Singapore, that will be the best bet. So if you are currently not working in such a company, I would want you to look out for such companies in India who have offices abroad, where you can actually spend in around 1 or 2 years, showcase your talent, and then probably they would themselves place you outside India. Okay, Shabaz is like, how many software will be covering in the entire course? Karishma?
Yeah, so Shabaz, we are covering 7+ softwares here, and the softwares are, we have multiple softwares here. We have Revit, we have Navisworks, BIM 360, Civil 3D, we have Dynamo, we have Primavera, we have few other softwares as well, and we'll definitely connect with you to give you the entire details of the what is covered in the course.
Thanks, Karishma.
Yeah.
SJ has asked me, I'm a site engineer earning 45,000 in hand, or should I join, or shall I continue with site? So SJ, there are a few factors involved here. So first one being that you want to ask yourself, are you happy with your current job? If you are happy going to site each day, and if you are happy doing the site job, please stay in the same field. I don't want to unnecessarily recommend BIM to somebody who is already happy in life, right? Secondly, as far as the earnings go, you can still actually do, again, it's coming back to the same thing. I don't want you to go ahead and sign up for this course. I'm not saying that. But if you actually get yourself educated with these softwares, with your site knowledge, it will be an additional benefit, because when you speak to the clients, you would actually know the practical intricacies, what you have seen on site. So for example, rebar, right? So rebar is a very complex subject, and you can actually do rebar modeling in some softwares as well. So if you have worked on a site, you know how rebars are tied, how does a bar bending schedule look like. So all of these things, if you already know the theoretical part, it is much more easier for you when you translate it to a software and when you are actually communicating with a client. So probably your market price will already be shooting up because you already have a practical experience backing you. Ilakia is asking me, can we start career in BIM after career gap as a civil engineer? Of course you can. I think there's no harm in taking a break from the career, and nothing better to start back up with a BIM engineer position or a BIM modeler position, because like I've showed you before, the career trajectory, it is pretty straightforward, and it is much more easier than compared to the normal jobs. Praveen is asking me, what will be the scope of BIM for an architect? Is BIM gonna be coordination platform as a software, or how will BIM help in architect's career in design perspective? So Praveen, we do have architectural streamline in this course as well, where you will actually be learning about how, from an architect's perspective, how is BIM more useful for them. For me as a civil engineer, I can surely tell you that whatever I can see on site, I can actually visualize much better. One of the many advantages is that before actually the thing gets built, you can actually see it visually, like a digital twin of that same thing, and then you can actually analyze a lot of stuff on it. For example, if I had to give you like a residential building example, right? For residential building, you would want to choose a house which doesn't have much sunlight. Some people want a lot of sunlight. So you can actually do sunlight analysis on a building project model as well. So this is just one of the things which you can use BIM for. As an architect, you can of course analyze or look at it how visually appealing the buildings looks like after running a lot of programs, after modeling a lot of stuff inside. Then I think I missed out a few. Okay. I have 6+ years of site experience. How difficult is it going to be for me to learn all of these softwares and look for a job in BIM field with zero experience? Will be starting my career from the start? Sabil, unfortunately, yes. The reason is that software expertise is something which is only developed over time. You cannot expect somebody to have all the knowledge only because they were a site engineer for six years. BIM is completely different and site job is completely different. So unfortunately, yes, you would still be starting in the BIM field with zero experience, but your trajectory will be much more, higher than the others because you already have 6+ years of experience backing you. So for you to understand a point technically won't be an issue. So you just have to translate it to how you want to model it and you will be actually able to deliver. Sheikh, Insha, what industry or sector are most in need of BIM professionals? I think in infrastructure in India, like I said, there's going to be a lot of investments in India going on in infrastructure field, residential or real estate field as well, but not that extensively. Infrastructure is something which actually needs BIM than BIM needing these projects, right? For residential or commercial spaces, they generally don't use it that much, probably only some visualization tools and their job is done. Satya is asking, how is BIM connected to steel structures? Can I able to learn BIM and move to BIM engineer? Can you explain more about it? So Satya, yes, for steel structures as well, there are different softwares which you can use to model steel structures or analyze steel structures. There is like a software called Tekla, which is very famous. There is staad.pro. All these are analysis softwares which you can use for steel structures. You can also use Revit, but there are a few concepts like level of definition, level of detail, which you will only understand when you actually get to know more about BIM in general. But yes, there are different softwares there which can do steel structure modeling as well. Prachur Jadas is asking me, will the BIM related software trial version, cracked version be provided to us during our learning phase of the course? Karishma.
Yeah, so here we definitely help you to, procure. We give you complete assistance in procuring these softwares. Of course, we understand that not, in fact, nobody is providing these softwares. If I talk about Revit, for instance, it is like 1.5 lakh, 1 year, one person. So it gets a lot difficult for us to actually help you with these softwares, but we definitely provide you with complete assistance in procuring all the softwares because yes, eventually you'll be learning on these softwares only. So we are there for you for that.
Right. And then I think one more is, how is Venistex course promising us to get into a BIM engineer or a BIM modeler role? So I think, Karishma, do you want to talk about placements or anything like that out here?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually, I missed it. I'm not able to see the question and the person who has asked it. Okay.
Nena is the
Nena.
I think person who
Nena.
asked.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the question, Nena. What was the question?
How is Venistex course promising us to get into the BIM engineer or modeler role?
Okay, definitely. A very good question, Nena. So we are here, we are not just providing you a platform to upskill yourself. At the same time, we believe that we are giving you a 360 degree of support, first teaching you about these softwares, giving you experience and exposure of these softwares, and eventually making you learn these softwares practically, not just, giving you a theoretical knowledge, because eventually you are going to use those softwares. So how you are actually these softwares are going to help you in all these things with the help of a live project, which gives you a lot, more better experience, a greater confidence when you are actually doing it. And there are a lot of things available on the website, YouTube as well. And there are so many free courses available on the website. I mean, for YouTube as well. Anyone can actually go there and see that. But that will never give you the practical knowledge, where we are actually going to help you a lot with the project. Then it comes to the mentors. We believe it is one of the biggest USP, sitting in front of Prasad and talking about it. We have such amazing panel of mentors who are helping you guys in each and every step of they're giving their life experience. Like Prasad was talking about his great projects that he has worked. So of course, in the live classes also we get to have the exposure of such great experiences, which is going to be very helpful for you guys in the future. It holds a lot of credibility when you are recruiting anywhere. And definitely our placement service, we are eyeing to give you a best placement service and a better and greater and much better, I would say, career path, which where we are right now. It is a lot of pain, I would say, to see that we are struggling at this age even after having multiple years of experience. So we are giving you 100% placement assistance here to give you that support and take you out of it. But definitely that depends on you as well. First you have to upskill yourself and then we can take the charge.
Thanks, Karishma. Thanks for the answer. Aditya Mishra is asking about what is the fees? Is it going to be online or offline?
I have answered him. It's a complete online course, and the course fee is 1,75,000. We are definitely running a couple of offers here as well. We will connect separately with each one of you to give you more details of that. And for the next question as well, I think somebody was asking about the laptop requirement. I have mentioned that in the chat, the minimum requirement and the recommended laptop requirement.
All right. Thanks, Karishma. So Ranjit has asked me, do we have to learn multiple softwares for the same purpose? Like we have to know both Autodesk Revit and from MicroStation. So it is always good to know the softwares, but probably if you look at the entire industry, majority of them uses Revit, and your employability will improve based on the softwares For me, my niche, I know a few niche softwares. Like I know Open Building Designer from Bentley. I know Primavera pretty well, which is not a BIM software. I know Civil 3D. So there are not a lot of professionals who know how to use Civil 3D or InfraWorks. So that gives me an edge above anybody else who knows Revit. So Revit is something which most of the people would know, but try also creating a niche or try also getting a grasp of other softwares, which will give you an edge over others. Anuja Priya is asking me, sir, you're now in Singapore. Give me such tips to get in there, how to approach company and convince them via CV. So again, Anuja, you need to be very good with your soft skills. I think at the end of the day, marketing or selling yourself, you tell well to sell yourself. So if you are able to do it in a convincing manner, if the companies get excited, so looking at your CV or your projects which you have done, then probably you have a better chance than others.
And I would like to add, Anuja, look no further. We are here to help you out.
Yes, correct. And BIM modeling, which specific trend is in demand, the BIM modeling or structure part means on scope or point of view. Okay, Aman Khare, I think which particular trend is in demand, I think it completely depends on project. If you look at the worldwide scenario right now, there are a lot of infrastructure projects going on in the Saudi. So I always recommend this to a lot of people coming up into BIM. Keep a lookout on jobs in the Saudi, because there is the NEOM project, which you must have seen in some videos online. It's the line, they call it the line, which is a vertical skyscraper filled mega infrastructure project. So the key things which you would need for that probably will be the use of Revit extensively. Not only a particular discipline, you should be well versed with all the disciplines in Revit. Not only structural modeling, you should be actually able to do Archi and should be able to coordinate using Navisworks as well. So all of these things are the basic things which you should have. Coupled with your soft skills will probably land you a good job. But for all of you out there, I think do keep a lookout for jobs in the Saudi or in the Middle East. What is the fee structure, Rishabh? I think Karishma will get back to you on that, or the team will get back to you on the fee structure.
So I think, there are a lot of questions. I see we have answered most of the questions. And Prasad, if you would like to take one or two more, and then unfortunately, we have to close the session as well. So we will definitely get in touch with each and everyone to give the answers if at all anyone is left. But at the moment, Prasad, you can see if you want to take up one or two more.
Yeah, I think one interesting question from Sandeep is, how is it helpful in metaverse? as there are meta city projects nowadays. So Sandeep, yes, there are a few papers which I've read. I don't have a lot of idea about metaverse itself, but I've read a few papers where they are going to introduce some software plugins where you model something inside our software, which is the Revit and other BIM software, and then you can directly bring it to metaverse. And in metaverse, you can actually go and sell them for NFTs. So all of these things are also in the pipeline, but I have not heard. Probably I am unaware, but there are a few topics that I've read about that this is currently in the scene, and you will soon be hearing it in the coming years. I think rest questions, I think Karishma are for the 1:2x team. You
Yeah,
can
I
take
think
them up separately.
Yes, for sure. I think I've answered a few. And just to answer Praveen Kumar, he is asking the course package is available in 1:2x. We can choose the course and softwares. You definitely have the options to choose a couple of softwares. A few softwares are mandatory, few are selective, and you can choose it. However, you cannot just choose the theoretical part. It comes with the practical part as well. So it's not like a tailor-made project, because we want you to have the complete learning and become as great as Mr. Prasad here. And that's why we are not giving you the option to choose, pick and choose. But yeah, there are certain electives that you don't wish to choose, you can just remove them. And for more details, definitely one of my counselors will get in touch with you to provide you the complete detail on that. And to Vishal as well, I will ask one of my counselors to get in touch with you immediately to give you the detail of the syllabus and the fee structure. Okay. So I would, at this note, I would like to thank you, thank Prasad here. Thank you so much for joining in and giving your valuable time. It really means a lot. It is, it's one of the first sessions that 1:2x is organizing, as a masterclass to empower a lot of civil engineers. So thank you so much to be a part of this initiative. And thank you for answering all the questions. And
Thank you.
Just want to thank everyone also for joining the session and be patient with us for listening throughout and then asking questions as well. And I would just like to wish you all the best from our side.
All the best, guys. I hope you can achieve something fruitful from the session.
Definitely. I think a lot of people will today after, getting inspired from you. So again, thank you so much, everyone. It was a lovely session, and we will share, after this mail, after this masterclass, you will receive an email with the detail of you can have the, recorded session of this video as well. We'll give you the course module also there and a few other details which will be required for you. So everyone will definitely receive a mail with all the details. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.